Okay, do we appear to have real audio flavor?
That you do.
Let's go.
All right, good deal. Let's commence to begin the Old Tube Radio Network. Real radio's glowing in the dark. My name is Dennis, your net control for the evening. And the evening where you will find the classic tube radios from 1958 to 1978 parading across your CB radio. If it's tuned to 27085 Channel 11, which is where we are at here in the Central Valley of California, or perhaps you are watching on Google YouTube, such that it is. Hello there, and you might be listening in at oldtuberadio.net. You no doubt will hear the classic radios checking in tonight after we start our directed net roll call of the shortwave listeners. The Old Tube Radio Network, starting its 34th, 35th year. We've been around here a long time, thanks to our tube radio operators and shortwave listeners that keep this network on the air every Saturday beginning at 8 p.m. Pacific time. We hope you can join us, whether listening in or making comments or keying up on Channel 11 and letting us know the radio you are operating. So with that, let me go to our roll call page. Top of page 100, chosen from those with perfect attendance from the last 8-week roster. And we will be listening for Course Gold.
100, checking in.
All right, the 2 for 1 will take the first 100. I'm putting the X in the square for the second day of March 2019. Thanks for getting us started off.
Thank you, sir.
SWL is checked in with the Cosmic check-in, and no Cosmic check-in needed for SWL number 2. OBP is over on the video chat side. If you'd like to get Oscar Bravo Papa a shout, you can do so by clicking on the video link at oldtuberadio.net and saying hello to Kevin, who reports we are, what's our sunspot number? 0. Who would have thunk? And we are now in a current stretch of 30 days. Is that a record for even from last year? So, yeah, I would agree. We are definitely in the solar minimum. I would have thought we would have been out of it by now. Maybe that's a portent to the fact that we're going to shoot up like gangbusters here in the next couple of years. So hang on to your DX hats. SWL 3, I have a proxy check-in for Rob, who was under the weather, or is under the weather. Maybe he's doing a little bit better. I hope so. SWL 4. SWL 5. Shortwave listener 6. SWL 7.
SWL 7 checking in.
At the control point tonight, sounding good. Ed, we've got you checked in over.
Thank you much. Got a lot of noise, so don't know if I'll be sticking around.
Okay, the noise is back. It kind of takes the fun out of it. When, I just noticed my roll call sheet says 2018. So when the Bozo Control, making a little notation here, I think when Bozo Control printed these up, he forgot to update the date because this did start in, okay. That maybe it started from last year, but it didn't. It's the new 8-week roster. Oh, let me before we continue on here, let me scroll over to oldtuberadio.net on the big board and say hello. Top of the page, even ahead of net control, is Morton. I think that's how it's pronounced. I'll probably mispronounce all of the names there. Let's see, where does it say? East and West. They're giving me a tutorial here, which I can't read because it's scrolled off the screen. Morton is a village on the north coast of the Wirral Peninsula, Merseyside, England. Isn't that where the song was? Ferry across the Mersey. Well, hello to you. And thanks for tuning into the Old Tube Radio Network, where I've the page is gone. No, it's over here. There we go. Who else is on? We've got Fish Camp. Hello to New York. In the front row, as always, representing the Big Iron from the East Coast. Hello to Maryland, Minnesota, Dallas, Georgia, coming up to you. Colorado, as always, hello, Woodland Park. CX4000 is in. Hendersonville, Tennessee, good to have you back in the audience tonight. Coming up to you, hello, Florida, Washington, Illinois, Kentucky, Washington, Lincoln, Nebraska, Kansas City, Missouri. Lots of stations out there tonight, and we'll check our friends on the video board in just a moment. Looking for SWL 11 and 12, checked in via the email. SWL 13, that's Mike, who checks in maybe on oldtuberadio.net. You can do that if you can get into the comment section. Check in that way. If you can't make it directly on the air, we can't hear you, of course. Digital SWL check-in is always a good way to go there. SWL 14. SWL 15. SWL 16. SWL 17. SWL 18. SWL 19. Shortwave listener 20. And I think we'll get a bingo on this one. SWL 21. Mr. JT in the alternate radio room tonight from his air chair from Old Radio Night, where the biggest meter this side of the Mississippi was being displayed. How does that interface with the radio? Is that something you have to put on the inside? I wonder how that works. Anyway, enjoyed old radio tonight as I was prepping for this venue, JT, and we've got you checked in from the Wasama Swamp, the Superstation, world's longest ground rod, WLGR21. He's probably got a badge for that, and asking to be written down in the Book of Knowledge. Here is my Book of Knowledge. It's right here on the Post-its, and you can see that it's blank. That's about all the knowledge that we have here tonight, so I may have to borrow some from you. Thanks for checking in. Over to SWL 22. SWL 23. Shortwave listener 24. SWL 25.
Hello, Dennis. 25 checking in. And it's a blank over here, too.
Yeah, the Book of Knowledge. I may have checked that at one time, checked that out, and probably was overdue. I'll see. Maybe there's one over where the Jingle Singers are. They've got to have some kind of knowledgeable items going on here tonight. Page 2, we're on the roll call. The radios are coming up in probably less than 30 minutes, so don't go away if you're tuning in for that. SWL 27. And a check-in via the crossband. Check-in via the crossband is sounding good. We've got you checked in, KB6GFD. Dwayne, taking a moment out from the FT8 extravaganza, going over to the FM mode. Sounding good tonight. Dwayne often checks in on his old tube radios when he can fire them up, and they're working great. Next, we've got SWL 29 proxy check-in for Bill. Takes us to SWL, let's see, we don't have any there. SWL 31. Robert and Teresa looking good on the old Tube Radio Network tonight from Hendersonville, near Hendersonville, Tennessee. You know, if you go to the oldtuberadio.net page, and you click on the QTH, it will pop up, hopefully, a little blurb about wherever it is. Hendersonville, where it's cloudy and 42 degrees at 12 minutes after 10 p.m. I'm not sure what the temperature is. We're having rain, and it might be 52 degrees here in Fresno. Thanks for checking in. Over to SWL 32. SWL 33, myself and Bozo Control, the Jingle Singers, and everybody else. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put up on the video side so you don't have to watch me all the time here. We'll put it on the Bob Orban loudness meter. Give yourself an audio report. There it is. Let's head over to SWL 34. SWL 35, where I'm sure it is probably a lot cooler than 42 degrees, and that would be Mr. Bill checking in from snowy Cheyenne, I would bet. Thanks, Bill. Hope all is going well there. You're staying warm, and that the van full of goodies is bringing joy to all radio operators in your area. Over to SWL 36.
Break OTR.
All right, let me break OTR. Hold on one. SWL 36. Okay, didn't hear 36, but I did hear the break OTR with an SWL check-in. Go ahead, Harvey.
Yeah, number 20. And if you check in, number 29 also. And 135 in case he doesn't get it via the crossband there.
All right, can do. Sounding good. Made it back from your travels of last week. We've got you checked in this week. Night 29 has been checked in, and we'll see what happens when we get to 25. Let's see. We got 35 in, 36 in, 20 is in, 36 not in. How about SWL 37?
SWL 37 checking in, and good evening time, Dennis.
37 is sounding, as we say in amateur radio, Golf Double Oscar Delta into my QTH here tonight. Thanks for checking in. I hope you're staying dry.
I'm trying my best. Had to go to the store earlier, but I'm not going no more.
Yeah, you could probably take the boat, take the canoe to do that. I want to say hello to our video stations on the video chat tonight at oldtuberadio.net. Google, YouTube. Goat's Garage right at the top says he's ready. So am I. I'm finally ready. DD21, OBP, all out there. Black Horse Militia had to check out, but will probably be back. Smarty Jones from New York. We like our New York stations. Mr. Ray is in there monitoring as well. KUH, the mighty KUH, Brian. We were talking about lightning hits. Was it you, Brian, that mentioned that you had taken one as well? Someone here locally had that issue. And David, -1 and a wind chill of -15 in southern Minnesota. Wow. I guess you might expect that, but I just couldn't handle it, I don't think. Anyway, the radio room is a great place to be to stay warm, and that's what we will do tonight when we're checking in the radios coming up. But looking for SWL 38. SWL 39. SWL 40.
SWL 40 checking in from Chinatown, and the New Year's celebration, the year of the pig. It is very noisy here in Chinatown.
Yeah, sounds something like that right outside the window, which they probably are, the year of the pig. Hopefully it's the year of the dry floor. I mean, I know there's a lot of rain, so maybe you found the water diverter there. So if you dare, go and enjoy the festivities and come on back and check in the radio at some time.
Will do. Thank you very much. It's very noisy here in Chinatown. I wish they will stop celebrating soon. Thank you very much.
Well, let them have some fun on the new year. SWL 41. Shortwave listener 42.
Good evening, Dennis and Nanette. 42. We're going to do the triple play, 90 and 137 here, and accounted for.
And we will do that. We'll start off with yourself, 42, the microphone. Sounding good audio tonight, nice and clear and crisp. And as Mr. Robert Orban would say, courtesy of our Orban loudness meter, good intelligibility. Thanks for checking in. SWL 43. SWL 44, Delta Delta X-ray. Speaking of Ray, up there in somewhere near Harriman, Utah, where there could be snow flakes forming. 44 at present with light snow, 2 inches on the ground. Probably not enough to change the SWR, but probably enough to keep you out of trouble. Thanks for checking in, Ray. Let's head up to North Fork, SWL 45.
Kind of good tonight, Dennis. 45.
And likewise, if you are in the radio room, we will certainly be glad to write down any items of interest you might pass along our way on this rainy Saturday evening. Thanks, Paul. And hello to Florida. Checking in, Denny out there on the Regency 123. I'll have to check the 123. I'm not familiar with that. I'm familiar with the range gain and the Imperial and Imperial 2 on the SSB. But no conditions tonight. You know, we probably won't have any. I'm not even sure if we're going to have any E-skip. How about SWL 46? SWL 47.
Well, good evening, sir. From the radio lounge, that great sounding ping from SWL 42 it inspired me to ping once more from the radio lounge, SWL 47.
Yeah, I've heard a few pinging radios tonight. I have a feeling that the Eagles may pounce tonight and try and capture the most heard manufacturer. They haven't done that in a couple of weeks. So maybe it's time. Sounding good, and we will look for you in later editions here tonight on the Old Tube Radio Network. Thanks. SWL 48, Sam coming in early tonight saying check in the group here. KP out there in Madera, so we will do that. Thank you, Sam. SWL 49, let me head over to the big board because I do believe I did see Mr. Computer Man Brian saying hello, 49er checking in. Good evening. Good evening to you and all those that are glowing in the dark tonight. We will find out shortly when we start checking in the radios. Thanks, Brian, for the extra effort on checking in from, where are you at? Wisconsin, I think. I'm sure you're in perhaps single digits on the temperature tonight. SWL 50.
50 here from afar, checking in.
50. Hello, Mark. Are you? Let's see. No, you're not a Grateful Dead fan, are you? Yeah. Okay. The radio. Anybody's a Grateful Dead fan. I think it's still going. The radio station at 88.1 FM. It's been going on since 9 o'clock in the morning. If you're a Grateful Dead fan. We do have some Grateful Dead marathon going on until about 1 o'clock this evening, so we'll check in. Got you checked in. SWL 51.
51 checking in. Trucking, if they were from.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they've played it, maybe played it many times tonight. Got you checked in. Dave, sounding good as always.
10-4, Dan, good evening out there.
SWL 52. Expecting might get 52 on a crossband one of these times. SWL 53. And SWL 54, that's Larry. I'm going to give Larry a proxy check-in because he may have difficulties checking in for a while after the big lightning fiasco out that way with messing up the tower and most of the radios. So good luck, Larry, on getting everything put back together. We will get you checked in, no problem. SWL 55.
55 checking in.
55 up in cold and rainy Shaver Lake, probably. M&M, thanks for checking in.
Thank you, Dennis.
Break OTR.
And there's the guy. Hello, the break OTR. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, 53 checking in there. I keyed down, but I didn't see no lights on here. I don't know what happened, but anyway, 53 checking in there, Dennis.
The lights are blinking. The wiggle meters are wiggling. Sometimes I quick key to get through the roll call here, and I miss stations, but you've got it all together now. A little bit of oscillation in the audio, but I think you are on the air. Over.
Thank you, Dennis.
And we've got you checked in. Also, the Bob and Steve Show, talking about snow for tomorrow up in Ohio. And they've got the direct link into the green room and the jingle singers. Maybe you can, when they're not up in the microphone, you can do the texting thing. and let them know how great they are, or something like that. Thank you, Bob and Steve, for keeping me sane here on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. We're looking for SWL 56.
Good evening, Dennis from the net. 56, just for kicks.
And sounding good. Do you get any street flooding where you are at over there?
No, not at all.
Yeah, same here. I remember in the old days when it used to rain before they fixed the streets out there on Clinton, where I was at, Clinton and Millbrook, used to turn into a veritable pond. And those poor houses on the corner, a couple of houses, would have water coming in through the front door. But I think they dug the pipe, and Fresno, over the years, has done a lot of work on that part now. If they would just fix all the potholes in the streets. Thanks for checking in.
Well, thank you, Dennis. Before they put Friant Dam in, let's see, they had a flood in the Fig Garden area. The 100-year flood about 70 or 80 years ago.
Well, I remember when I first moved into town, it seemed like they would have, it wasn't the 100-year flood, but Fig Garden, especially those houses with the hard pan, the water would be standing for a long, long time. All right, we are doing the roll call, SWL 57. SWL 58.
Go ahead and proxy in 58 there. He's sandbagging the ditches of Biola there. So, go ahead and proxy in Jeremy, and waving a hand to his family out there in Nebraska. I think they're listening. So anyway, he had a dinner to go to, so check 58 in there, proxy him in there. All right, thanks, Dennis.
I will do that. I've got to see the X in the square last week from the ditch banks, but you've got to keep them high and dry, and we'll do that. Thanks for the 10-5, and I've got, hear that? I think that is the tram behind me. Sounds like it's blowing up. I had to make sure there's no smoke coming out of it. Yeah, and if any of the SWLs check in want to give a shout-out, you've got some stations listening in. I think we've got someone near Lincoln, Nebraska, tuning in. This is the Old Tube Radio Network. We are here in Central California. Welcome anybody to tune in, listen, leave us comments, say hello, radio, whatever. We do this every Saturday for like the last 34 years, so we can always handle a few more people on the lists. Thanks for checking in 58. Let's try SWL 59. And then this station is ready at the microphonium. SWL 60.
Thank you much, Dennis. Yeah, doggone it, let's give old Big Jake here a hand. Old Jake the Snake there, 291 on the 291 base, SWL 60, checking it in.
And as always, sounding good here on our Old Tube Radio Network. Thanks for checking in. To answer your question, Ray, I've got about 17 different windows open on the computers here, so I try to occasionally glance around out of my Old Tube Radio stupor here and see any questions I might be needing to answer. And yes, that is the same Brian from Fresno who's been on our list for a long time. And even checking in radios, let's see, from what was some of his famous radios? The Browning, of course. And I will not forget his Helicopter CB3A with great audio. He might have had a Timtron FT101 somewhere in the mix as well. There's probably more radios, but I'm sure that's the one you're thinking of. Let's try SWL 61.
61 checking in, Dennis.
Oh, I'm putting a good signal tonight. Almost S9 on the meter. Maybe that's what I should do. Maybe I should put the S meter up so everybody can give themselves the radio check. Thanks, Dean.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we'll switch the video, or maybe we won't. Yeah, we'll switch the video over to the kind of horrible digital display S. So feel free to a radio check as you check in. SWL 62.
Evening time, Dennis. This is 6-2, checking in from downtown Clovis, on frequency and on time.
There are standards. WWV is one of them. The government was talking about getting rid of WWV, and if they do, they've already contacted the station you just heard, Lucky Lindy Rex out there in beautiful downtown Clovis, who may take over to be the new time frequency standard. Thanks, Rex.
Next week, Dennis.
SWL 63, representing all our New York stations. Digital listener Bubba out there in New York. Thanks for our New York station. Stay up late. Stay up early, I should say. Stay up early on a Sunday morning to help us check in radios here on the West Coast. Over to SWL 64. Thank you, Jack, for patiently waiting your turn on the roll call. We've got you checked in. Thank you. SWL 65. And I will check. Sometimes we get notification to do proxies for 65, so I'll keep an eye out for that. Let's try SWL 66. SWL 67. SWL 68. SWL 69.
69, checking in, Dennis.
69, sounding good, Ken. Good signal. Last week it's been down, but the signal is back up to where it should be, I think. Thanks for checking in. SWL 70. And if I didn't mention it, we will be getting to the radio check-ins shortly after the roll call. Your favorite classic Class D radios, maybe some non-Class D radios. If it's tubes and you can get it on 11 meters, we'll check it in and talk about it. 1958 and 1978 is when they were being made, and 1978 to right now is when they were being heard. Sometimes on the old Tube Radio Network. We'll see what we can fire up tonight. Over to SWL 71. And I do believe I heard or saw Mr. Announcer and Stan checking in at oldtuberadio.net. I have in the background, we might try it. I brought it up. I'm always afraid, because of the way it's set up here, of doing things wrong, but we'll give it a shot. I have the Echo Link up in the background, and it will have connectivity into the audio board, so we'll talk about that. I still don't have the link I want, but might be able to check in with somebody, or if somebody might be able to get into my station here. Maybe a little bit later. Things slow down. We'll maybe try an Echo Link contact or two. Over to SWL 72. SWL 73. I'm keyed up. SWL 74. Because I can hear my audio in the headphones regardless of whether the transmitter is keyed or not, because I'm listening to the sound card, so I've got to also keep an eye on the wiggle meters to make sure that the transmitter gets in the right position here. SWL, did I call 74? I bet I did. How about SWL 75? SWL 77.
DTM, transmitting from the Tower of Power in the Tower District, and 73s to all the listeners.
Looking good and sounding good with 20 dB over S9 of Tower of Power audio. Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you.
SWL 78. Shortwave listener 79.
79, checking in.
Checking in and checked in. Thanks, Philip. SWL 80. Page 4, SWL 81. I'll keep an eye out for Steve. He often can sneak in on one of the various formats. How about SWL? Yeah, this guy's out there. SWL 82.
82, checking in from the ditch banks of Biola. And I want to wave a hand to Lincoln, Nebraska. Jake, I think it is. Jeremy's brother. Waving a hand to you, Jake. All right. Thanks, Dennis.
All right, you never knew an S9 signal in Midtown Fresno could bounce around at this time of night and make it to Lincoln, Nebraska. But sometimes the strangest things happen here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Thanks for checking in, Ron. Over to SWL 84. SWL 85. Hello, John and Reedley.
Hello, Dennis. You're sounding good out in Reedley tonight. 85.
Yeah, likewise. You're well over the noise here tonight. Sometimes the ground wave works well when it's totally saturated. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you.
SWL 86. SWL 87. SWL 88. SWL 89. It's good to hear Darren in last week. He said he's going to be working on getting some of the radios back up, but he did do the crossband. Speaking of which, we have a check-in for SWL 90. How about SWL 92? Listening for waterlogged Madera there. SWL 93. We'll check for Louis. He might have checked in on the Facebook page tonight. SWL 98.
Checking in, Dennis.
Always a good signal. Because, Dave, you're not that far. You're not that close to me, but always been a good sound here into Midtown. Thanks. 544.
Thank you.
Then we will go to, if he's in the mobile, I hope you're driving carefully out there, Jeff. SWL 103. SWL 109. SWL 110. 110's up in Millerton Lake. Up at Millerton Lake, where I'm sure the water level is rising. For the longest time here, it's been below 50%, but we may fix that this year. I'm going to check in 111 if you're listening. I actually gave a shout-out to Robert. Heard him not only on the FM, but on the AM side. 111, if you're out there, we've got you checked in. Over. SWL 113. Shortwave listener 114.
114, checking in.
Hello, Wayne. You sound good, as you always do. We've got you checked in. Thanks. SWL 128 would take us all the way out to Fairfax, Virginia. John Lee, let me see. Let me see if I got you on the big board. I don't see you. And sometimes he comes in early and he fools me here, but I don't see him on the list yet, so we'll keep an eye out there for 128. SWL 131. And Ray, yeah, 5150. That, you are correct. 5150. Out there in Millerton. I think he says in Millerton Lake. Maybe that's why we can't hear him. The water should be rising. He might be spilling over the dam at this time. Who knows? Over to SWL 133.
Good evening, Dennis. 133 checking in.
133 out there in northwest Fresno. I'm sure it's wet as well. Thanks, Dave. SWL 137, we've got a check-in for the Phantom. Let's see if we can get up to Core School tonight. SWL 145.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. We got no problem making it to Core School this evening. We'll go ahead and take you up on that offer to give myself a radio check. Audio. We'll check that YouTube tomorrow. Audio. Check, check.
Looks good. And you are almost... No, I'm not going to tell you. I'll let you listen into it. I think it actually sounds... You sound stronger than it looks on the S meter here. And because what do I have? I've got the RF gain cranked up just a little bit to keep the background noise down. But you will be pleased with your radio report as you tune in to the oldtuberadio.net. And I'll say, hi. I'll say, I'm speaking to you from the future, from the past. Hello, Tony. I know you're listening. All right. Now we'll freak everybody out. Let's go to SWL 147 out in Kakalaki. I know we can get the Kakalaki report. Let me grab the right mouse here and see what Neil has to say. Checking in under the weather tonight. Yeah, I started sneezing like crazy, but I think it was an allergy thing, so I'm hoping that's not where I'm at. So it's going 10-7 in a bit. If you didn't catch you, I know it takes a long time to get to the roll call sometimes. If you didn't catch you, Neil, take the NyQuil or whatever you need to do and get out of here. I know where you're at. It's already late. 73s, and he's saying the radio is quiet, which it is. The radio's been quiet because, according to OBP and the charts, we've got 0 sunspots. But that will change. We keep telling ourselves that will change. The guy that started it all off is 00, often known for the last 34 years as SWL 195.
195 checking in, Dan.
Thanks, Jim, for checking in. And let's see if Jeff is out there. SWL 226. Any other stations I missed? We call it late check-ins, but it will be, I'll take any SWLs that might be out there if you'd like to check in now. OTR's listening. And the break, OTR. Hello, radio. All right, I don't think that the conditions are quite as good as they were last week. I've got you on that ground wave flutter, but you're making it through whatever. I think my antenna's so low when the tree and the leaves on the trees get wet, it does weird things. But hope you're staying high and dry. Okay, and I'm going to take a moment or two. We'll switch things over to the tube radio side. The video portion will stay up, so don't go anywhere, and we'll be back in a moment with your glow-in-the-dark radios on the Old Tube Radio Network. All right, I like that picture a little bit better. We are back, the Old Tube Radio Network. If I didn't say so before, I want to say hello to and check in X4000, beaconing in from Brentwood tonight. And I will also say that this is your Old Tube Radio Network. The Jingle Singers are ready to do what they do best. If I can get their attention, sometimes I need to have like a light or some lever I can flash that will beacon a light. Okay, there they go. They've stepped up to the ribbon microphone. Your Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? Greetings to you, wherever you are. For music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
The station for you is
OTR.
The station for you, OTR 27085. We are listening at Channel 11 in the Central Valley of California, right in the central part of the state. We'd like to hear radio number 1.
45.
And that is a definitive radio number 1. Paul, you have really nice, loud audio and a good signal tonight on the radio, the Old Tube Radio, which you are about to present to us, I bet. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, this is called a T-Craft Falcon.
A T-Craft Falcon. Now, let me inquire as I go through my notes here, and also I want to see if I can find the T-Craft Falcon. Probably have a picture if it's from your collection. I believe when you do use one radio handle, you go by the handle Falcon. Is that correct?
That's correct. It just so happened that way. It wasn't planned out, but it worked out well. There it is. You got it up. That's a neat old radio. Probably one of my oldest neat radios. There's no hardly any information at all. What I could get was it was manufactured in 1959. Sold for $144.95. Just to go over the front of this thing, it's really a plane, as you can see. The left-hand side, you got a VFO tuner, 23 channel for VFO. When you go to the red on the top, it's a squelch. Below that, volume, max. Below that is a control for 5 crystals. That'd be for transmit. Then right on top of that, there's a toggle switch. And believe it or not, that is the toggle switch that's factory toggle switch used. As you know, they're a strong switch, so maybe that's the reason. To the right of that, there's a speaker grill. A very good-sized speaker was on this radio. Back to you.
Back to me in the studio. You fooled me, because your signal is very strong tonight from that radio. The audio is nice. It's a good full-fidelity audio. It has the Old Tube Radio sound, but it doesn't sound like there's any issue with the audio circuitry, or you may have a different microphone than what originally came with the radio on there, but the audio is nice. T-Craft Falcon 23-channel VFO, which is the big knob on the left side of the radio opposite the speaker. 5-channel transmit. That's the selectable knob in the front. It says T-Craft Falcon has 11 tubes, and it also has a compartment for the microphone. A compartment for the microphone. So I'm assuming you'd have to unplug it and store it in the box somewhere?
No, it's just hardwired into the thing. It's a little tight on the thing, but I get it in there. The trouble is the cord is rather small, short on the thing, so it's got to kind of reach and pull it pretty heavily. One of these days I'll probably pull it out of the thing. Other than that, it works fine, and you can't see the microphone at all when you get it in there. And another thing that's neat about this thing, too, is neat, I guess you call it neat, there's no lights on this at all. It tells you when you have power on or anything. You have to look through an air hole in the top to see the tubes below. So they had quite a few things to repair and replace on this thing, which they did in later years on the thing. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
Yeah, I could see that could be a little disconcerting once you turn it on if it doesn't make any kind of a humming noise or are crackling and popping, you say, okay, did I actually do something here? And like you said, just the visual, physically looking in and putting your hand over the top and say it's warm. Sort of like an oven, I guess, right? Is the thing on? Put your hand in the... Yeah, there's heat coming out of it, so it works quite well. Sounds nice. I think you will enjoy, if you have a chance to, in the upcoming week, give yourself a radio check. What can we do? You know what? Give us one more transmission before you go, and I will check where that crystal is on channel 11. I'm going to say it's probably pretty close. Take a transmission.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, this is just, I think it's the original microphone. It came with the radio. It's just an old, what it is, a Turner, a ceramic microphone. Matter of fact, it's a white one. It's an old white microphone, I say. And that's it on the microphone. There's no... It's just a good talking radio. See you.
Sounding good, almost S9 on the meter, which is, when you bring by radios, that's... S9 is about the top of the line if you're running stock power, and got your frequency at 27,084.5, so well within specs, and it sounded really good. You can tell the stations that have nice, strong double sideband audio. When I switch over to one of the sidebands to do the frequency detection, the audio just stays nice and loud, and it does on that radio as well. From, I don't know, we don't even have a date for that, but we're thinking probably 1959 or 1960, 61. The T-Craft Falcon, try and find one of those on eBay, but come along here on Saturday evenings to the Old Tube Radio Network, and you just never know what might key up. Thanks for bringing it by, Paul.
Thanks for checking it in,
You are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network, listening for radio number 2.
Number 27.
And from FM to AM, putting my receiver here at full quieting at 8:50 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Dwayne is at the microphonium of something which I believe might be glowing in the dark. Over.
Oh, roger. It's the ICO 762 kilo, one crystal controlled channel frequency for transmit, 27.085, and I'd like to get a frequency check also. We did this on August of 16, February of 17, July of 17, and April. Now we're at 19, and I'd just like to see where this radio's transmitting in the last 3 years.
I like the way you do that. Sort of like having an oil check on the old Electra 225, where they put the little tags on the door panel and let you know when you did the oil change. Dwayne, SWL27, who is currently bringing us Radio 2, which you are taking a look at now, or a likeness of his ICO 762K, has his chart, his radio charted with the frequency, see if it's drifting, see how the crystal handles and holds up. Me thinks it'll be quite nice, considering that this radio is working as well as it is for, when did it come out? 1960. And you could get it in a kit form, and I think in a non-kit pre-built form, the K, the 762K, indicates that it was a kit. So my guess is if you didn't build it yourself, Dwayne, whoever did a great job. Take another transmission, and we'll try and zero beat that thing.
All right, number 27. I didn't build it. I bought it. But somebody must have built it, since it is the K model. And it has that funny microphone with no button on it. You have to use the push-to-talk lever. And if you put it in the up position, it just stays on, so it's like holding the button down. But anyway, I was, well, I won't tell you where I was, what frequencies that you read me at there, but I will after you tell me what I am now.
All right, sounding good. Also, some nice audio when I went to the upper and lower sideband. You can hear me switch through that. If you are listening on a radio that has a tight AM receive, less than 6 kilocycle wide, you might want to take your little knob that says plus and turn it to the plus position. Because we are clocking in the ICO crystal at 27.087.48. So you can call it .5 if you want. So it's 27.087.5. So that puts you about 2.5 kc high, which may cause a problem if you're on a tight receiver. It sounds good on my wideband receiver, but you do sound a little bit better if I crawl up toward 27.087. So how did we do? Is it hanging in there from the last time?
Well, from the last time, on April of 2017, it was 27.087. And so it hasn't varied very much. Back in 16, it was 28.0874, and in 2017 February, it was 27.0876, and then July of 17, 27.0864, and then 87 and 875. So it's hanging in there. It may be a little high, but it is hanging.
Sounds good. We'd like to check it in here. Anybody looking at oldtuberadio.net, I went to the 760 series. That's the 1960 advertisement. Model 760, 117 volt AC only, less bracket. $59.95. What a deal. This had to be the cheapest CB radio in 1960, don't you think? And wired at $69.95. The Model 761 was 117 volt AC and 6 volt DC, so they probably gave you a different cord to plug in the back. That was $69 for the kit and $99 wired. So there was probably an extra, what was it, the vibrator and a tube or something that had to go in there, but $30 worth, and then the same price for the Model 762K, which is what Dwayne has, that runs 117 volt AC with the 12 volt DC enhanced item. Sounding good on the 762K. The ICO was sort of known, at least in the amateur band. I hear people lovingly talk about their ICO CW novice rigs that used to chase each other up the band as the thing would drift, as you were calling CQ. But this one is doing pretty good. Thanks for bringing that by.
Oh, roger that. Yeah, I still got to get that Lafayette Comstat 23 fixed. It's got that something, probably a capacitor or something in there, because it every time you turn it on, so I don't want to do that anymore. All right, I'll get out of here. Number 27.
All right, thanks, Dwayne. Yeah, it might have a bad capacitor somewhere in the power supply that's not happy, and the fuse is doing what the fuses should do, and Dwayne is a smart guy, so he has not switched the 3 amp or 5 amp fuse, whatever's in there, with the 20 amp fuse to keep it from blowing up. We are looking for radio number 3. When the hits just keep on coming. Another loud radio from Paul. And we'll take it here. Paul will talk us up into the top of the hour for the Jingle Singers here. 8:57, the login time, Radio 3. And over to you, 45. Over.
Okay, well, I'm checking in another TCAP Falcon. This is a Mark V. It's called a Mark V radio phone. The whole right up on down your web it is. You should be able to find it, I hope. I tell you what, this thing out, I don't know for sure what year it was, but it came out a few years after the first one, and they have done everything to this thing. I'm sure you fill in some stuff, but I got more things to tell about it. It's unbelievable radio. Back to you.
And there it is. I hope you will be able to confirm. I think you follow along on the video. This looks a whole bunch different than what I was seeing on the first one on the Falcon, but the audio and the signal are just as nice. And this has a suspicious look to it. Almost reminds me of an Olsen with the dual dial windows in there, but back to you for transmission. We'll see what we can find out here.
I did find something else that was interesting. This one was made in 1962 by T-Craft in Teterboro, New Jersey, here in the USA. So I just found that on this thing. It's good. It's sold for $189.95. Not much more than the other one. But tell you what, it's unbelievable. This thing's got what they call a TNS. It's a noise suppressor that really works on the thing. It's excellent. Go back to the 5 crystal controls on the thing, which to transmit, and it's got both ways you can get them on the thing. It's kind of confusing because the picture that you're showing me, one, my voice is going to go in. The picture that's showing is not this one. It's like it, but it is not. It's just real confusing the way they've done these things. Mine's got a VFO in. That one there uses just crystals. So they just, I don't know why this didn't really go. People should have bought more of them. They were a neat radio. That's about all I got.
Okay, I just switched over to a Mark IV radio phone just quickly, and then I'm going to switch back on the video here, and there are similarities with the two dials, and we'll go back to the Falcon Mark V radio phone. There it is. So there is some different, and it does say that it's 1 or 5 crystal-controlled channels and tunable receive for all the Class D channels, and it will do 6-volt, 12-volt, and 115-volt AC. I'm just looking at the meter. Really good movement, forward movement. The audio is loud. Really a nice radio. That could certainly be a daily driver from your radio position there. No problem.
Yeah, this is definitely a keeper. This thing has got a new old stock turner on the thing. I had to put one on this one. It didn't come with one. But it seems to be working well. So it's ceramic also. Now, this thing's completely different. You go in and tune from one side, others I can be talking to you on 12 and listen to you on 11. Vice versa. Particular radio right here. Real interesting how they got it set up. They really came a long way. Interesting. Thanks for checking it in, Dennis.
Thanks for bringing it by. The third radio tonight, the T-Craft Falcon Mark V. You just heard it, and we still got a picture display up at oldtuberadio.net if you want to see what was happening there. Nice audio. Reminder that you can give yourself a radio check. We do archive the audio. You can go to the archive button at oldtuberadio.net. Click on the archives. It'll bring up a whole bunch. It'll take a while. Bring up a whole bunch of possibilities for you to insert into your media player. Pick the date you want, whether it's a tube radio or an SWL check-in, and away you go. And then we try and keep the YouTube videos up for a couple of weeks before they go into unlisted oblivion or whatever they do. Speaking of unlisted oblivion, the jingle singer's telling us that it is 9:01 here on the West Coast.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite slot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
The Old Tube Radio Network, looking for radio number 4.
We'll get a real quick Mark III check-in.
Yeah, let's do that. I was going to adjust my RF gain because my noise floor just came up. But I will wait to do that because I don't need to do that with a 20 over signal. The Mark III sounding good. Our first Browning of the evening. And you've got that audio dialed in. That's the cleanest I've heard it in a long time.
I appreciate it. Well, believe it or not, I had nothing to do with it. It's the godfather of tube radios. You got Harvey doing his thing again. Took it over to him, and he worked his magic and definitely got this thing doing what it's supposed to be doing. But it is a Golden Eagle Mark III Browning Laboratories. I am really, really happy with the outcome of this, and I believe he's finally got it where it needs to be. It's running a non-amplified D104, which I don't think it's going to need anything else. I've got the factory banana mic for it. I've got to change an element and put a 2-pin plug on it, and then I'll have what I need on it. But again, Harvey worked his magic and got her dialed in, and I'm really happy.
As well you should be for pretty much classic. When you take any poll of one's favorite radios in the tube era or the ones that people would like to have, this comes out number 1 or number 2, along with the Tram D201 and a host of others, but it's always in the top 1 or 2. Again, your sound's excellent. The audio is just right where it should be without any type of amplification. It sounds every bit like a Golden Eagle as it should. And we're putting it down as Radio 4 on the big list tonight. Over.
Yeah, I wouldn't believe how good it was sounding until he did his magic on it, and compared to what it was and what it is now, I'm really, really happy with it, and at least I feel good about running it, and now I've heard what it sounds like because I had a radio with no antenna in it, listening to it, and I'm like, wow, this thing is so crisp, and I mean, it could pick up a gnat fart, and it's non-amplified, so again, there you go with the beautiful tube audio, and the amplification that this has without a power mic is really, really exceptional for this radio. So I wanted to get it in so we could have another one. I didn't even know I was the first one on the Mark III, but here we go. So appreciate it, Dennis. Once again, everything you do, kudos to you because you're doing a good job. 42 with the Browning Mark III.
Browning Mark III sounding good for our Radio 4. We like them all. If it's glowing in the dark, that's why we are here. Think of it as the parade of classic radios, like the parade of automobiles that often happens sometimes on the weekend at the automobile shows. The Fins and Chrome. This is the Fins and Chrome of radio. We have a good time doing it, and that's why we're out here. Thanks for bringing it by. We will be listening for radio number 5. And hello, Paul, if you can pick me up over.
Yeah, this thing's warmed up enough. I think it's warmed up enough. We got about 2 or 3 minutes on it, maybe a little longer. But anyway, I couldn't let the evening go by without checking in the general radio telephone. It's my MC7.
Let's see if I can find one of those. Don't hear many of the 7s. Hear the 5s a lot, and of course, we have a lot of 11s out there, at least in our area, that check in. So from general radio telephone, beautiful downtown Burbank, the MC7, the Master Control 7. I've got an ad. Let me pop up the advertisement first, and then we'll go to the actual radios. You give us another transmission. We'll get the details here.
Okay, well, this is the first one that had that 24-channel church going on thing. Actually, this is a real plain front end on it. You get a picture up on the thing. Real plain, real simple, very clean. I like it. So anyway, it came out with a clamp-type modulator. First one. So they were going trying to get close to the 8s and the 9s to get up into the higher stuff. That radio telephone, they move fast. I'll tell you, they have some good mechanics, engineers, and everything in there, because they put out 2 or 3 different radios every year. But anyway, it has 9 tubes, manufactured in 1965, and that's about the whole part of it.
Switching the video to the actual MC7. Get it in frame. It's a pretty radio, like the green dial and sort of brushed brass, gold front plate, and the green, like the green channel dial. Like you said, 1965, $199.50, so $200. The 24th channel was not what you might think. The mystery channels back used to be the RC channels, 22A, what was called 22B, which are now 24 and 25, I believe. This actually had the Civil Air Patrol frequency inserted in there. I'll have to do some research on the Civil Air Patrol, which I think had a frequency down in the 26 megacycle area. Find out what that was all about, what one had to do to either tune in or get on for the CAP. And this radio could do 6-volt, 12-volt DC, and 115-volt AC with the right power cord in the back. Give us a transmission, and I think if I'm close enough to the receiver here, I'll give you a report on your frequency accuracy. Over.
Anyway, this has the original carbon mic on the side. They wanted to check the other mics, they say. I haven't tried anything on there. The carbon seems to be good. This got a lot of swing to this radio. It's really working well. I really like the 7s. They're plain, they're easy, and nice to look at. Thank you.
And they sound good. Do a good job. I'm going to have you come back one more time. I'm going to do an S meter report to see how it up with the T-Craft. Actually, I think the audio is probably a little bit louder and cleaner, but it's nice and strong here on the general radio telephone. Got you a lot of the radios are coming in a high frequency, which is unusual. 85.7. It's about 700 cycles on the high side, which is not a bad thing. So, what did I say I was going to do? Oh, give me a transmission. We'll take a look on the S meter here.
Okay, well, my readout on the thing, I got a readout meter on the thing, and it will show the channel if it's on. So that apparently must be what the FCC wants you to do. When it's off frequency or couple of kc, it won't show the channel on the meter that I've got. So it's interesting things on that. Oh, okay, good enough. Well, I just covered everything on it. Can't think of anything else. Back to you.
Okay, I think we did it, and you're just a little bit lower on the audio peaks for signal strength, but not much. What is different is it has a little bit more forward movement, so your resting AM carrier is a little bit lower, but that punches the audio up when you talk. Radio number 5, the General Radio Telephone MC7 from their Master Control series. Pretty looking radio, and that came out in 1965. And it sounds good in 2019. Thanks for bringing it back. Bye.
Yeah, thanks, Dennis.
Break OTR.
I knew ears perk up across the Central Valley when a General Radio Telephone keys down on the old tube radio network. The break for OTR. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Dennis. This is SWL 37. We are going to check in my general radio telephone, the Super MC11A 24-channel version of all these. And this one here is running the handheld stock microphone. Over.
Sounding good as it always does. Did you actually drive down to Burbank, California, pick that up new in the box?
Nah, they just shipped it up to me to a thrift store.
That's right. This is the, I often forget, this is the thrift store special. It was just beaconing it out to you when you were out there looking for old lawn chairs and patio dishes or something. You saw this radio.
Well, actually, my neighbor saw it. He told me we went over, and then we ended up getting it $17.50 senior citizens discount.
I like that kind of story. Give you a senior citizen discount. Did you call? Did it have a microphone with it? The microphone you're using?
Just the way it says, like you seen it. This is the way it came.
Wow, I bet that probably was transmitted on a couple of times and sat on a shelf somewhere, and then like a lost little kitty went to the thrift store, and you brought it home.
Yeah, and it purrs all the time. It purr.
Yes, it does. Sounding good. And the Jingle Singers, you woke them up. They are heading to the ribbon microphone because they like the sound of Radio 6, the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. Give us another transmission. Thanks for bringing it by, and I'm not sure what the Jingle Singers are going to do, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, this is all I'm going to check in right now. I'm kind of sore this evening. I need to get over in the easy chair and relax. I did a little bit too much today, and I'm paying the consequences for it right now. So I get over there. I'm going to take a pain pill here in about 5 seconds, and I'm going to relax.
Sounds like a good thing to do. A lot of our stations are SWLs do that. They sit back, relax, and listen to the tubes check in, and that's one reason we're here, is to provide a little bit of what I call entertainment on your Saturday evening. A little bit of nostalgia, a little bit of classic radios, thanks to our radio operators. Thanks, Chris. You deserve your downtime there, and the Jingle Singers, wherever they might be, where did they go? There they are. All right, take it away in Studio B.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, the friendliest station for you by far is known to all as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
And as promised earlier, SWL 13 waving a hand to all listening at oldtuberadio.net. Hi, Mike. Thanks for remembering this is the place to be, and we do have you checked in on the big board, and I will do it on my paper as well. We're in their station right in my noise level.
Sorry about can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, over.
Yeah, when we said this is a great place to be on Saturday night, well, on another channel on Channel 24, Saturday nights, we always get to watch, which is on right now, but we are listening to Saturday Night Live.
Saturday Night Live. Is that... Wait, it's too early for Saturday Night Live to be on.
No, it comes on Channel 24. It comes on about, 9 o'clock, something like that.
And for our SWLs like myself that aren't familiar with this Saturday Night Live, tell us what it is.
It's a comedy show on TV with all these crazy idiots.
Oh, all right. I thought that was always on at 11 o'clock. Is this reruns?
No, these are the new ones. The reruns are at 11 o'clock.
Okay, because they used to have the not ready for primetime players, so I guess they made it to primetime now.
I do believe so. Saturday Night Live.
I remember watching the first season of those shows. It had Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase and Gilda Radner and all the rest of the crew. John Belushi. And they went on to bigger and better things. Eastern Time. Oh, yeah, well, Ray mentioned Eastern Time, but you said it was on Channel 24. This should be Pacific Time.
Right now it's on television. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, well, if you see it, it's got to be there.
Yeah, NBC, Channel 24, isn't it? Or is that CBS?
That would be NBC unless they've changed.
That's what it is. NBC, Channel 24. You know, the one with the fan, what you call the peacock feather, you know?
Yeah, how many of you are old enough to have actually, when you got your first family got your first color television, or maybe you had to go down the street to the family that had the first color television to tune in on Sunday nights and whatever it was, the Wonderful World of Disney. Actually, I think they call it the Wonderful World of Color, because it would be back when color, and the Peacock, they would put on the Peacock, and we'd watch the Peacock.
Oh, yeah, and then, well, as you, I don't know what year you lived, but back in the 60 or 61, well, it went on for a few years, we would have the Fresno Bee, the Bumblebee, signing off for us every night at about 12 o'clock.
Yes, the Bee closing up when stations used to sign off, when all the stations used to sign off, and that was actually created for McClatchy KMJ at the time by Walt Disney Studios.
Makes you feel old, doesn't it?
Yeah, we remember those old days when they used to go, the Bumblebee used to go blink, blink, blink.
And then it said, good night.
Yes, sir, we remember those old days.
And I have some friends that actually have a copy of that. And that's what happens when you work at TV stations. You can get those things. Now nobody signs off, so you will probably not see the Bee again. What we will hopefully see is our radio number 7. That's what we're looking for here on the Old Tube Radio Network.
I want to be number 7.
You can be number 7 by the fact that you just keyed up the radio, and that's the next radio we might want to hear at 9:20. And I thought there might be another Radio 7 that would be some Browning item of interest, but the Brownings still have it for Radio 7. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, this here is the Ditch Banks of Biola, number 82. Checking in the Browning Eagle S23 transmitter, because that's what the microphone's plugged into. And the big box there, the Eagle R27, the receiver.
Let me pull up a shot of one of those. This has an extra piece on it that we won't confirm or deny that you might have as well. What Ron is talking about would be the two pieces. The one on the bottom, the largest piece, the receiver, the R27, and the S23, the larger piece on the top, is the transmitter. It's also showing the 180, which was the business band amplifier. Whose radio says it? Oh, it says it's Joe. It says it's this is the station that Joe Yogi Bear used to run, or maybe still does. And as Ron told us, this is the first radio from Browning that wore the badge of Eagle. Back to you.
All righty. Yeah, I got a couple little 180 boxes hooked up to it. But yeah, not the Eagle 180 boxes. Anyway, yeah, I like it. She works good. And maybe I got to get the other Ditch Banks from Bio. Maybe he needs to get an Eagle. Maybe Jeremy will get an Eagle, and maybe he could talk back to the family back in Nebraska. Hope they're still out there listening.
probably can when we start getting some sunspots. We've had 0 for a long, long time. Looks like if one is interested, you can go to oldtuberadio.com and find the operator's manual so you can practice on paper for when you actually get one on the radio desk. The Browning Eagle, which we're listening to, $359, so by far our most expensive. If you go by prices back when they were brand new, what it would cost you to get it out of the door and into your 1965 Ford Falcon and drive home. $369, and they were produced from Browning Laboratories from 1964 to 1966. There was a Series 2 and a Series 1. Series 2 receiver, let's see, what are the differences? Larger meters, neon modulation indicator, and a lighted on-the-air indicator. Do you have any of those things, lighted on-the-air indicator, neon modulation indicator, and larger meters? So I don't know how you'd know they were larger unless you could compare them to something.
Yeah, I got the rectangle on the air, and then below the meter that has all the 0 to 100% modulation. It's got a red light below it, and it flashes red there for the audio as I'm talking.
That's the one. That's the Series 2. I think all the stations, most of the stations we talk to that come in with the original Eagles all have the Series 2, so that's making me think that they didn't produce a lot of the Series 1s. Making them perhaps a little bit rarer, but maybe not the ones you want to obtain because of lack of all that good stuff. Sounding good, our Radio 7, beating from the ditch banks of Biola, the Eagle R27 S23. And let's see, I'll take the video out with the S meter here so you yourself a signal to the video back, and we'll say back to you for transmission. Thanks for bringing it by.
All right, Dennis, thanks for doing what you do there, putting the show on the air, and waving a hand again to Nebraska if you're still out there, folks. All right, take care. 82 out.
And thanks for that. Actually, I just create the base, the forum on the internet and at 27085, and then the rest of you all our stations keen up there actually do put the show on the air. Speaking of show, let's do the show of shows in Studio B, the Jingle Singers, talking about the magic that is OTR.
What are the magic numbers?
27.085 megahertz, channel 11.
Are the magic letters?
OTR.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Radio Magic.
Old Tube Radio.
For you.
And we are looking for Radio 8. Heard someone key up there, but the audio was a little low. Try it again over. Yeah, the break OTR, go ahead. And give me the number again over. Might be mobile. Try it again. The station checking in for SWL, I missed the number over. Anybody else catch it? We'll be listening. We'll be here another half hour if you are mobile and would like to get a little bit closer. And Stan, if you're listening, I'm going to try and do, since we have a break in the action, I'm going to try and do an Echolink Connect. Direct node to node, and see if it'll dial in here. Which would mean if I wanted to, I would try something like that, KB6GFD. That would be direct connect. I think what I need to do is figure out how to make a conference and actually have it on a separate radio. And then everyone could go through that and then run the audio separately. Looking for Radio 8, by the way, here at the Old Tube Radio Network. The Old Tube Radio Network, looking for any SWL check-ins, and Radio 8. And I think this is what a lot of you encounter these days when you fire up your citizen band radio, whether it's tubes or transistors, and dial through the 23, nay, 40 channels or more available, and realize there's not a lot of out there these days. That's one reason we like to get on Saturday evenings to promote those who often get in the Radio Shack at some evening and don't hear much. Guarantee you the fact that there will be some stations out here to talk with, or at least to listen on your CB radio. OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network, looking for radio number 8.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, for music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
The station for you is
OTR.
This is the Old Tube Radio Network, listening for radio number 8.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, for music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
the station for you is
OTR. Here's something from 1968 S9 magazine. It says Audio's Class B CB. If you never knew what Class B CB radio was, now's not the time to start learning, because the FCC is closing the thing down on November 1st, 1971. Probably most CBers never heard of it. It was licensed as a Class B CB starting in 1953, long before today's CB was even a gleam in anybody's eye. There were only two transceivers available in those days: the Vocaline and the Stuart Warner. Now, we've checked in some Vocaline Class D radios. Stuart Warner actually made receivers of a Stuart Warner R390. Both sets can only run a few watts and had super regen receivers. You could cough and be heard over a greater distance than the range of these Mickey Mouse sets, which sold for about $100 each when they first came out on the markets. The band assigned to Class B consisted of a single channel at exactly 465 megacycles, or megahertz if you want, but you were allowed to drift around a bit in the general area of the channel. As a matter of fact, the sets even had to be synchronized with each other so that they could be used for communications. Not an easy job. The manufacturers didn't advertise, the licenses didn't materialize, and Class B service was dead on the vine even before it was in effect replaced with a highly successful Class D 27 megacycle version. Nevertheless, it was an attempt at giving the citizen his own personal communications. Still, the Class B service has continued on the FCC's books as an existing entity all of these years. So I suppose if you had you would have had the channels to yourself, right? The channel, I should say. 465, which was stuck between, that was up at that time, populated by police. So somebody might have been able to tune you in on the scanners. It doesn't say whether it was AM or FM. Probably AM, especially for 1953. That was quite an expense, being up that high in frequency at 465. So anybody ever see a Class B? I've never seen a Class B. I don't know anybody ever had Class B. But I guess it is no longer a service, because I'm sure there are other professional services using those frequencies now. Still looking for Radio 8 here.
Thanks, OTR.
And the break OTR, go ahead, please.
SWL 65, checking in.
Sounding good, sir. I'm going to bring up, it hasn't been exercised here in a while, bring up the SWL, the big chart. We'll mark you in on the paper, and hopefully you are try to stay dry today anyway.
That was me trying to check in earlier. I was in a mobile, and it doesn't get out very well. So, thanks. Have a great evening.
Okay, I heard it, and then it was, I think the first key up was the best, and then it kind of sank down into wherever it was. But the base station, the fixed station, sounding good. So we got you checked in. Thanks, Eric.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Hey, I was talking about the Civil Air Patrol, or I guess questioning the Civil Air Patrol earlier. And in the same issue of the 1968 S9 magazine, I came across an article that says, Learn Radio in the CAP. And I'm just going to read it cold here and see what it says. The Civil Air Patrol is an auxiliary of the United States Air Force. It supports the Air Force in many ways. Approximately 60% of all search and rescue missions flown in the United States are flown by CAP pilots. Civil Air Patrol also cooperates with the Federal Aviation Administration, the American Red Cross, and other public service agencies. CAP conducts aerial surveys, including radioactive fallout monitoring, there you go, for 1968, as part of its civil defense mission, and operates a communications network consisting of the following types of stations: land, mobile, air mobile, citizen band, and aircraft. And then they give a number for each of those stations. The citizen band at 4,157, the most of them being mobile at 10,223. CAP members have the opportunity to upgrade their skills through study courses by participation in the communication radio net activities and in search and rescue emergency service missions. So it was 1965 when General Radio Telephone first put in that Civil Air Patrol frequency. And this is 1968. They're talking about what you could do, get involved with the activities. Persons interested in participating in the Civil Air Patrol communications program should contact the Wing Deputy for communications for their respective states as shown on the list, and then they give a list of the states. In California, where we are at, Major Cecil Buchanan. In Tucson, Arizona, was the guy to contact for Civil Air Patrol back in August of 1968. So if you had your MC7 and you talked to Mr. McMahon, you might have been able to use that 26 megacycle crystal. The Old Tube Radio Network is looking for radio number 8. Here's an interesting device. It says, like to make S meters bounce, converts AM sets to double sideband modulation controlled carrier. Only $29.50. Works with any tube type set with 10K or higher screen resistor in the RF output stage. Right for free brochure. Wabash, Indiana, 46992. The Electronic Engineering Company. I want to get one of those for my E.F. Johnson messenger, the Viking messenger. So probably some way to put it on the screen voltage, perhaps, the screen resistor on tube radio. I used to talk to a couple stations that had, I don't know if they had those units, but they had the radios modified that way. They would go to a control carrier, double sideband AM control carrier. The one station always said that, you know, back in the days when you would hang a carrier on someone, he said, I can't do that, because when I keep my microphone and don't talk, there is no carrier. $29.50. Well, I'd like to see that now from Wabash, Indiana, the Old Tube Radio Network.
You're tuned to
OTR, Channel 11.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us.
Old Tube Radio.
Few more minutes to go for your check-in pleasure, looking for radio number 8. Here's another interesting thing from that magazine. It's a full page. I don't know if I would call it an advertisement, but it is, for Electronics Industries Association on 2001 I Street, Northwest Washington, D.C. Citizen Radio Service section. All right, so it's the Electronic Industries Association. It's not necessarily from the FCC, and it shows a microphone, a mobile microphone with the standard nutcracker with the two handles, the old-style nutcracker around the microphone. It says, any nut can break the law, but it takes a man to respect the rights of others And in the Citizens Radio Service, that's what the law is all about. Of course, simple, common sense rules to help ensure the rights of all to communicate. Maybe most of the real problems are created by that small, obnoxious minority, but aren't all of us a little too windy at times, a little too quick to make that next call, a little too willing to work that beautiful skip signal just this once? Let's all come out of our shells, little pun there, and get cracking, even another pun, on the whole problem. Start by rereading Part 95. Resist the temptation to stretch your nickels into dimes. Use your call numbers and respect the unwritten law of Channel 9 for emergencies. If we really discipline ourselves, the Federal Communications Commission will have plenty of time to crack down on the nuts. And that word of CB Wisdom from 1968, brought to you by the Electronic Industries Association. Well, one thing that's changed is it is legal now to talk more than 150 miles. And good night to JT, SWL21, wishing us 10-7. And Robert, SWL31, thanking us here on the West Coast for stopping the Pineapple Express. And it is certainly happening here. It's going to be raining all week. You can hear the noise. Well, I've got the RF gain cut down a little bit, but not a lot of static. I think all the dirt in the PG&E power lines has been washed clean away. So that keeps those big static crashes from making things wacky. And then Stan mentioning, if you have a sonar E, G, or H, just reverse the channel 13 transmit and receive crystals, and you are on cap. I did not know that. I used to do that, and it probably was a bad thing. Well, obviously it was a bad thing to do, but 100 milliwatts. On my Helicopter CB11A walkie-talkies, we used to reverse the channel 11 crystals, and I know that would put us at 26-something. So I guess they were using 455 on the walkie-talkies because the receive channel is at 26-something. And so, back when there was a lot of skip running, we could switch the transmit and receive crystals around and actually get a much quieter frequency, quieter channel, if you will, on our walkie-talkies. But I don't think the range was as far. I think you were at 26-something. You were a little bit out, or whatever the transmitter tweaked range was. But there you go. I'll let some of our sonar operators know that. Swap one of those crystals so you can get the CAP and join in the fun. Thanks, Stan. Always good information. Stan, I tried to, as you may or may not know, I actually tried to ding you on the Echolink, and I came up short again here. I'm going to try it again. Here on the Connect. See if it'll come through. That's okay. So it's showing green. Let me try it here. KB6GFD.
KN4 MVZ.
All right, you may get a horrendous echo feedback loop here, but here we go. Just giving it a try. It looks like we've connected direct here for a second, I think. But enjoying your comment on the Channel 13 workaround, Crystal, for the Civil Air Patrol. Over.
Yeah, Roger, I have an old sonar, and it has CAP written on it, and I got to looking at the manual, and you're right, it's a minus 455, and it works out just right. That thing uses a doubler circuit, so at 13 megahertz something, it makes it work. Thought that was interesting. Yeah, I have to use this with my headphones, this laptop, so if you've been dinging me, I couldn't hear the headphones. I've had it on, so it's something to do with my iPhone. I can't do node to node. This is working great. Big time delay in it, though.
Sounds good here over the air. I just have to remember what I'm supposed to hit to make the transmit go and the way to get out of the receive. Sounds good. Audio's good. And you can hear the replay on the at the end of the video here. I just wanted to see if that works. So node to node is working. I don't really have, I've got a BlackBerry, but I don't have a smartphone, and I think I've got Echolink installed on one of them, so I'll have to see if that's possible to do. All right, thanks, Stan. I just wanted to see if this would work, and I think it certainly does. So we're going to call for one more radio here, and then possibly sign out, because I have to get up super duper early in the AM. So I will say a bit adieu to our listeners that are still in there, and thanks for picking me up on the Echolink KB6GFD.
Roger. By the way, you can fix your space bar for your press to talk. That's the way I have mine. It makes it work a lot better. KB6GFD KN4MVZ, Atlanta, Georgia, clear.
Yeah, I forget about that, and I'm using the keyboard for some other things, and I've got two computers, and I thought, well, maybe if I know I'm clicking on the item direct, I won't hit the wrong space bar and thinks I'm talking. All right, 73 to you, and we will try this again soon. KB6GFD 73.
Roger, KN4MVZ, clear.
All right, and last call for radio check-ins, SWLs, and we'll tie this one up tonight, see how we did. And number 20. Now, Louis, SWL 93, always talks about being the sandbagger, but I think you may have taken the prize tonight. Over.
Well, could be. It's raining where I'm at, and I have to go out to outside to get to where the radio's on. So didn't want to get wet, but I got wet anyway. Okay. A Browning R2700A with a Golden Eagle transmitter. It's the same setup I had last week. Had to find a relay for the transmitter. The old one was pretty much shot. Every time I keyed up, I had to tap it. And so being that I forged parts, I happen to have one. So I had to rewire, because it's a wire-in relay, not a nice plug-in one. Well, it's a plug-in type that you bolt down and then wire up. So I had to do that. And then the receiver, I think I'm doing some more.
All right, you unkeyed. You may be checking something. I know your audio was beginning to drop out a little bit. The signal is good. Over. You may be checking on a problem. What I've got a picture of the R2700A receiver. The audio that we heard was nice and smooth, probably not 100% modulated, but nice, smooth. Actually didn't sound all that Browning-esque.
Well, it's a Browning. The transmitter, well, it's just like my other transmitter, except this one's got the spotlight, the other one's got the on-air light. I didn't turn that one on, so we won't be putting that one on. I figured this might do in its place tonight.
I think so. It's a very smooth audio. It's definitely not in your face on the Browning side, but that's okay. And I'll look at the S-meter, see where you're at. You're not quite full quieting, but I hear you just fine. I say it's a very, very easy copy and a nice audio. And it definitely has the ping. And you know what? I need to get it logged in here. Give you the radio number 8, our last radio. We'll put it in at 10 o'clock. And so we've got the R2700A is the RX. And which is the model number? It's the T68, is that correct, for the transmitter?
And now we can almost be full quieting, I guess. The T68, but the spot model, the model with the spotlight on the front.
Okay, got it. And I take it that you have actually switched to the original Golden Eagle just now.
No, I've got the range boost on since I wasn't full quieting. No, it's the same radio you just heard, but with the little range boost on. It's the same transmitter as the Golden Eagle I always use, except that one's got the on-air light, this one has the spotlight. So it's two different transmitters, but basically the guts are all somewhat the same.
Okay, yeah, just really nice, clear, clean audio. And yeah, I should say we all, since you're beaconing worldwide at oldtuberadio.net, we all hear you a little bit better with the range boost, but sounding good before that. And a good combination. Is there any tap dancing to get the R2700A to mate up with that transmitter, or is it just the standard cable?
In this case, it's just the standard cable. Up until certain models, you could just plug and play. The Mark II, you cannot, and the Mark III, you cannot, etc. Excuse me. Because the on-air lights are in the receiver. So you have to have separate wiring for that. And if you take one of those transmitters with its own plug and plug it into the back of this receiver, now that's not good. Anyway, so I checked this one out, made absolutely sure before I did it, and yeah, you could use this cable. Anyway, I'll turn it back to you and catch you next week.
All right, looking good. I hope you got everything peaked and tweaked and straightened out the way you want to with that combination. It sounds good. Got a comment from one of our listeners saying, wow, big difference with the range boost on. But that's the patented Harvey range boost, a copyrighted feature of the SWL-20 transmission. Thanks, Harvey, for radio number 8. And let me call for any last items before we sign out tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, time now for the current OTR totals.
All right, thanks to all who hung out with us tonight. Do the counting and amounting. And my suggestion is do not take half a dose of NyQuil before you start the net to keep you from sneezing, because it mellows you out a lot more than you would think. So I hope, I don't think I fell asleep tonight. Enough radios checked in to keep me going. Let me see. Let's see. That's a Browning. That's a Browning, and that's a Browning. So the Brownings did. The T-Crafts were in first place for quite some time. Then we got that final Browning check-in. Let's talk about the SWLs. We had 9 on page 1, 14 on page 2, 14 on page 3, and 12 on page 2 for a total of 49. And 8 radios tonight. A lot of people probably hanging out, resting up, someplace warm. Radio Shack, it's showing 70 degrees. I can't believe it is 70 degrees in this room. Because I do not feel like 70 degrees toasty. But I think my indoor thermometer it's on a stand and it's leaning up against a piece of equipment. So I think it's reading more likely what it would be if I was snuggled up to that piece of equipment rather than where I am here in the air chair in a cold part of the room, regardless of how many tubes are fired up. Radios tonight started off quite interestingly with the T-Craft Falcon from Paul, 1960, or in the early 60s for that one. Very nice audio and a good signal. Then, not to be outdone, from 1960, the ICO 762K, the best doggone value and Class D citizen radio service for 1960 at $69. I think that the one that was only 110 volt was on $59. So go get them. Thanks, Dwayne, for Radio 2. Radio 3, Paul on the T-Craft Mark V, sounding every bit as good as the non-Mark V version. Radio number 4, Jerry popping in with the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. He's tweaked, done something with the audio. Sounds really nice. Also mentioned that, I think he said the SWL-20 had the magic, waved the magic wand, and all is good in that aspect. Radio number 5, Paul on the General Radio Telephone MC7, one we don't hear much, but always glad to get any General Radio Telephone here. Beautiful downtown Burbank. Chris on the General Radio Telephone Super MC11/8. See, there's 2 generals tonight. Could have had a 3-way tie. The Eagle, R27 S23, beaconing from the ditch banks to out there in Lincoln, Nebraska tonight. Welcome to those listening in from afar at oldtuberadio.net. We do this every Saturday. We've been doing this for 34 years. Thanks to our radio operators. Take the time, sneak away from whatever they're supposed to be doing with the family or whatever, sneak into the Radio Shack and say hello to us and share their radios. We enjoy that. Thanks, Ron, for Radio 7. And then Radio 8, you just heard of the R2700A was the receiver, the T68, the transmitter on the Browning. Doing a good job. Thanks, Harvey. We'll catch you all next week. Yeah, I think I'll be here. Looking for the glow-in-the-dark radios. Thanks for your efforts in keeping us on the air, and also thanks to our listeners, either digital side or here at 27085, staying up late with us tonight, enjoying some of the radios. SearchLawrence.com and Frodix, keeping the Nixie tubes running. And I think it is time for me to grab that other half of the NyQuil and let it do its thing. 73, everybody, from the Old Tube Radio Network.
Once again, Dennis, thanks for what you do, man. Much appreciated. Definitely another one for the books. Have a good one. Take care.
Okay, we'll be working on getting the archives up and running. And we'll be shutting down the video and the audio. Good night, everybody.
Hey, station.
This is the station over... Okay. Louis, you get your title back. And I'll explain in just a minute, but go ahead.
I want to do my late check-in.
The late check-in, I was about to hit what some operators call the big switch, which is back here behind the wall. You can't see the big knife switch. And while I'm calling up the SWL chart to check in SWL 93 and make it official, I took your sandbag moniker away tonight, and I actually awarded it to SWL 20 as he checked in right at the last minute with the tube radio. I even mentioned your name, said you had beat Louis to the punch. And just as I'm about to pull the big switch, here comes Sandbagger number 1 reclaiming his title, and we put SWL 93 on the board. So you got it back.
Cool deal. All right, I'm back up on top. I'll keep going.
All right, sounding good, Louis. Thanks for remembering the Saturday night place to be and the old Tube Radio Network going 10-7. Thanks.
All right, man. I tried on the computer, but no success, so I had to get back here before it got too late. All right, man. We'll catch up on you next weekend, and we're 73s.
Good night, and Ray, enjoy the snow. If those two words, enjoy and snow, can go together when you're, I guess, not out with the skis and the family or something, when it involves maybe shoveling and trying to keep things from freezing. Good night, everybody.
That's why they call this March Madness month.
Good night, Dennis.
Oh, yeah.
Catch you later on the video.